Hello, my name is Stephen Alff and welcome back to AlffBooks, and today we are here for the last day of the BookTubeAthon. So let's have a look at what I was able to read today and have a wrap up of the whole week. The shirt of the day is a Doctor Who shirt, which actually is very fitting because there was one sentence in Neverwhere which immediately made me think of Doctor Who. I think it was a sentence about how whatever they'd seen was so out of the ordinary, so strange, that they just promptly all forgot about it. How can I not think of Doctor Who when they say that? Today, I had 222 pages of this book left, and I read 222 pages of this book, which means I've completed the 7th challenge of reading 7 books in 7 days. I didn't think I would be able to do it when I started, because none of the years previously have I gotten close to finishing. And this year, I did. I finished! I got 7 books in 7 days! I'm just really happy. So here are all the books that I was able to read during this BookTubeAthon. It looks crazy when you look at it like this, that I was able to read all this in 1 week. I'm now going to go through all 7 books and give you my rating and some quick thoughts about those books. The first book, The Chess Mysteries of Sherlock Holmes, was a book I thought was fun to read. It's got puzzles in it, which are retrograde analysis on chessboards. I'd never heard of that before. Basically, you're given a position on a chessboard and you're told, hey, was that bishop on the board an under-promoted piece or is that the original bishop? And you're just like, how am I supposed to know that? And basically, the first few puzzles, they kind of guide you through how the whole thing works, and then later on you've just got a list of puzzles, kind of all still connected with the story, and you solve them to figure out storyline, puzzle, plot things, and it's really fun. It's a really fun little book. I gave it 3 stars. Next is Allegiant by Veronica Roth, the 3rd book in the Divergent series, and I started this series forever ago. Back in 2014, I believe, at some point in the year, maybe even the year before that. And I finally finished it. I gave this book 3 stars. It wasn't particularly amazing, but the ending was better than I expected because having spoiled the ending for myself, I knew one of the major things that was going to happen at the end of the book. I was pleasantly surprised by the way it came into the story. Next, we have Stone Words by Pam Conrad. This book is really short. I gave it 3 stars as well. It's the story of a girl and her friend when they're younger and basically finds out that there's something strange about her friend because no one else can see her. Next, we have Hurricane Gold by Charlie Higson. I gave this book 4 stars, I believe. This book, on top of being really shiny, I know I've mentioned it before, it's kind of hard to not notice. It's not the first kind of story I would usually pick up, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun little kind of background look into what may have been the reasons for James Bond becoming James Bond. And as part of a series, I only found out afterwards that this is number 4. So yeah. But you can read it without any problems, so that's also good. Next, we have The Vegetarian by Han Kang. This is a book that I didn't really enjoy. I gave it 2 stars. It's one of those books that's hard to place. I can't really tell what about it I didn't really like. I mean, I didn't like the characters to start with. The characters are very self-obsessed and caring about what other people's choices mean for them and not whether that choice is good or bad for the other person. I don't like it. I don't like the characters. And that maybe that's a block for me, that just because I couldn't like the characters at all, that it made the book harder to like. I had a similar situation with The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby, very well written, really thought it was well put together, but because of the dislike, the absolute dislike for the characters, it's just really hard to really catch on and jump into the world, I guess. Next, we have Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. This book was okay. I gave it 3 stars. The reason why I wouldn't give it more is because it feels like a filler book. Like, first book, loads of stuff happens. Second book, we're preparing, we're getting people, we're going to people, we're seeing people. They're kind of just going from place to place and doing the same thing over and over. It's pretty long for what that is. If I were to rewrite this, I would make it a lot shorter, that part. There's a good cliffhanger at the end though. And finally, we have Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. This is the first time I read a Neil Gaiman book. Neil Gaiman has been an author that's been hyped up to me over and over and over. Like, people are like, you have to read Sandman, you have to read this, you have to read that, you have to read books by him. And I finally got there and I'm really happy I did. I gave this book 5 stars. This is by far the book I enjoyed the most of this BookTubeAthon. It's a really, really good note to finish on, because one might think at the end of the BookTubeAthon, because one's read so much, that one wants to take a break from reading. But all this book makes me want to do is discover more new books and read more. I really enjoyed this book. And now on to doing the challenge for today. The challenge for today is to talk about the story, the personal story behind one of your books. I found this particularly hard because I couldn't think of any particular story that was exceptionally interesting or that really stood out from other stories. So I thought I would tell a few smaller stories. For those of you who don't know, I grew up between Luxembourg and France, and I went to school in France. So the first language I learned how to read and write was French. Though at home I was speaking English with my mother the whole time. And so in primary school, my mother taught me how to read English. And to do that, she used the books called Keywords. It's a series of books from Ladybird, which are really, really fun. They are brilliant to teach you the key words, and then from there you can build up your vocabulary and go on to reading other books. Those books hold a special place in my heart because even though they're so simple, they are what got me into actually reading in English, being able to read in English. And without those books, I don't know if I would have gotten into reading quite as quickly or quite as much. The next book I want to talk about is The First Famous Five book. It is the first book I read all on my own in English after having read the Keywords books with my mother. So it's the first book that I can truly say that I was like, I read this book completely on my own. 2 other series come to mind when it comes to books that I loved when I was younger, and that got me not just into reading, but also into writing. The first one is a book that doesn't exist in English, which I read in French, which is called D'un monde à l'autre, and it's in a series called La Quête des Willanes, and it's by Pierre Bottero. That book, alongside Sabriel by Garth Nix in the Old Kingdom series, are 2 books that, on top of just being amazing books that built my love for fantasy, they also made me dream about what it'd be like to write my own stories. And it's just amazing to connect in such a way with books that they not only want you to dive deeper into the worlds that they've created and other worlds that have been created, but that you feel that you want to be able to be in the same position as the author and create something so amazing and share it with other people and see how they react to it and see how they see the world differently to you, but a world you created, to create a universe around the books. And I really enjoyed that about those books. So yeah, I guess that's way more than just one book, but I just thought, you know what, I wanted to tell this story. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you had a fantastic week, that your reading went really well, that you read loads of books, and that you had, above all, enormous amounts of fun. I will see you next week with another video. I'm going to be returning back to my normal schedule now that the BookTubeAthon is over. If you enjoyed what I did this week, or want to just continue following my channel to discover more, I will leave a subscribe button so you can subscribe to my channel. I'll leave you with yesterday's update video and also a video that I think you're really going to like. That's all from me. Bye.